right. Hello, everyone. We are live, and it has been a while, so we're excited to be back, and particularly excited that today we are being joined by Sergeant Christian Lowe from BPD and the delightful PADS Sadie, who is an accredited facility dog. She's hiding out behind the scenes there. We'll get her on camera at some point, but we're just going to give folks a moment or two to jump on here, and then we are going to get started. And my apologies, we started a little bit late. Technology was doing as technology does. So
blame that on me. It's all good.
there we go. All right. Well, it looks like we've got a few people jumping on here, so I will get started and ask you the question, Kristen, that I ask most people when they join is, how did you come to be part of the PADS community and be matched with Sadie? How did that happen?
Great question. It wasn't my original idea. So there's an inspector that used to work in this section. So I work in the special investigations section of the VPD. So that has units like, so I'm the sergeant in ICE, which is the Internet Child Exploitation Unit. And on the floor, we have sex crimes, domestic violence, high risk offender unit, counter exploitation unit. Probably missing one or two there, but so all kind of the special types of crimes that we investigate. And the inspector at the time had an idea of having a dog work in this unit, because the detectives that work in my unit will look at a lot of disturbing material throughout the day, things like child pornography. It's part of their kind of their main investigation, and throughout our investigations, they have to look at a lot of that material. And so anyways, I had heard that my employee wellness unit was already in the works of applying for Zen. I think you guys had Michelle on the podcast not too long ago. And I asked them for their documents. I had a look at that. And so my first step was to kind of pitch it to the executive to kind of say, because there isn't a lot of, there's a few, as you know, there's quite a few types of sport dogs throughout Canada that will attend courts with victims, or will work with the employee wellness section like Zen does, and like Luca did. Not Sydney, but this was kind of unique because we want a dog assigned to the unit and just for the members that worked in this unit. So I had to do a bit of research and kind of made a proposal to our executive committee, who approved it. And then it was a matter of getting some funds to take care of Sadie and vehicles and that kind of stuff. So I had to apply to our Vancouver Police Foundation for some funds. And it all kind of, the support was amazing throughout from everybody. It happened really quickly. Met Margaret and Val at PADS, who set me all up and trained, or me myself. It happened very quickly, and Sadie joined us in summer, about two summers ago now. She's been with us for about 2 years.
Wonderful. Well, for those of you that are just joining us, I see our numbers climbing here as we're talking. Thank you so much for being with us today. If you're joining us on Zoom, you're welcome to ask questions by clicking that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen or in the top right menu if you're watching on mobile, and just ask any questions you might have of myself or of Kristen, and we'll try and get to them. If you're watching on Facebook Live, you can do that just in the comment section below the live stream. We're happy to answer questions, but we'll kind of kick off here. And tell me a little bit more about, you had this, the team had this idea that having a dog in this unit would be helpful for the members that work within it. How did that kind of vision translate into reality? What does that look like with Sadie now?
Yeah, initially it was just more kind of talking to the team and kind of getting their sense of what they think would help, if whether having dogs would help. Me doing a lot of research, a lot of that I must admit I stole from Michelle, but as you know, there's no shortage of research out there that shows how dogs will lower blood pressure and heart rate, and raises oxytocin, which decreases cortisol. So all those things that we all want. And anybody who's ever had a dog or who likes dogs, you don't have to read science papers to know that just being around a dog just instantly calms you and brings you to kind of a calm place and refocuses you and makes you forget about what's going on. So, just those concepts, pairing that with a bit of research. I think there's some fears that I think they wanted a really good document to kind of prove why this unit really needed it, and how this unit has some unique stressors that not all other sections have, because I guess they didn't want, it's not a bad thing if every unit had their own dog, but maybe it gets to be too much. But yeah, I was just doing that research, making a case for it, being very clear about who, and you also have to commit. So as part of the PADS program, as you know, you have to commit to a certain amount of time. So I had to make that commitment to stay where I was at and not kind of go for another unit or seek promotion, those kinds of things, and trying to find secondary handlers that were willing to help out as well. So it's quite a process, and the executive was pretty easy to convince. And then when it came to the Vancouver Police Foundation, I contacted Andrea there, and she, I just had to mention the idea, and she's like, "I've got a donor in mind already." Like she had somebody lined up, just who's already supported us with other donations. So it was really painless for me, I must say, and I think the timing was really good. I think they brought 4 dogs into the office once the process was starting to get going. Zen was actually one of them. Zen. My 9-year-old daughter remembers all the names. I don't. There's 4 dogs in total. We just kind of let them roam around the office to see how they would react, how they would be. And there was a couple that were just kind of clearly just wanted to play and be go, 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 which probably not the best for a dog that's going to be in the office and kind of spending a lot of time not doing much in terms of activity. Zen was good and Sadie was good. And when they asked me for my preference afterwards, I said, I had a connection with Sadie myself. And they felt like she would, based on her temperament and training, they felt that she'd be the best fit, and went through the 2-week training program, and here we are.
That's amazing. And how phenomenal too to have that support from Vancouver Police Foundation around the funding, et cetera. And so I think a lot of people don't necessarily consider that. So we're very fortunate to have extraordinary donors that funded all of Sadie's training and placements and all of the work that we do with the team throughout their working life. But there is a huge additional undertaking from an expense standpoint of having a working dog, so veterinary care and food and toys and all of those important things that dogs need. So, and I understand too of VPD vehicles as well, because when you're out and deployed or going different places, having a vehicle that is going to keep a dog safe when it is out on the road in terms of temperature and all that good stuff is
very true.
Important. So very, very cool. And I think it's neat as well to just kind of, you commented on, having other dogs and is it really necessary to have the multiples? And I think that's something that VPD really is definitely a leader in the industry in terms of recognizing that these dogs are not machines like people. They have kind of a maximum workload that they can handle and a maximum number of people that they can support and still experience wellness themselves, because dogs obviously help us be well, but we also need to look after them. So what an awesome thing to have leadership at VPD that recognizes that and that there was need for multiple dogs to kind of take on different roles. So for those of you that are just joining us, if you're on Zoom, you're welcome to hit that Q&A button and ask any questions you might have of myself or Kristen. We're here with Sergeant Christian Lowe from VPD and his accredited facility dog, Sadie. And if you're on Facebook, just pop those questions into the comment section. So, Kristen, tell me what a day in the life looks like for Sadie.
It's it's not too exciting. I think Sadie was a great fit because she was lower energy when they first interviewed me in terms of what kind of stuff that I like to do at home and hobbies. I remember mentioning, I live in Lynn Valley, so I like to take advantage of the trails that are there. And I said, I like to go for hikes, and they're like, oh, okay, well, how long do you go for a hike for? I'm like, 1 to 2 hours at the most. Like, okay, good, because Sadie can't handle more than that. So, so like she's great, but she's definitely a lower energy dog, which is great for what happens here, because she does spend a lot of time in the office and just spends time with the detectives here in the office. But regular day for me is I wake up around 5:15 in the morning. She's full of energy in the morning. She's like any dog, she's seeing you like for the first time ever in her life, and she gives you a lot of love and attention right off the bat, probably because she's hungry, but I take it as that she missed me overnight. And then it's just getting ready. I take her outside for her usual. She's very regular with her movements, which is awesome for me. Then we go to work, come to the office. I'm usually the first or second person here, and she knows that it's breakfast time, so she has her breakfast. We feed her right away. Teeth brushing right off the bat in the morning, which she doesn't like very much, but she will let me do. And then the other members start to arrive, and they have a bit of of a ritual. Everyone's different, but some will sneak a treats and just say hello. And Sadie knows which person gives the secret treats and who doesn't. And she'll have a bit of energy after breakfast. She loves to play tug. And then once the food is kind of starting to settle, she goes into a bit of food coma and just kind of sleeps in her bed. So I have an office that's kind of attached to where all the other detectives work. So there's a bed in this office, as you can see, she's right down here on the floor. Hope you can see that. And then there's a bed outside too. So she likes, I think as a primary handler, she likes to kind of spend time with me. I've tried to remove this bed so she spends more time outside, but she just ends up lying on the floor because she just, likes to be around me, which is lovely. But and then we'll take her for walks. So we'll take her out just to, it forces me to be more active because I want to make sure she's exercised and takes her pee breaks and all that. Members will just come in and spend some time with her. And, we even had one of our deputy chiefs, which is one rank lower than a chief, but a deputy chief from our unit or section here, she'll come in and just sit on the floor and just spend time with her. It's not often you see high-ranking officers just suddenly sitting on your floor, but it's that energy, right? It brings that energy down. People just want to touch her and spend some time with her. She just has that lovely energy. She never barks, doesn't have an aggressive bone in her body. I tell people if I ever get attacked by a bear in the trails, I'm pretty sure she'll just watch and want to play with the bear. I don't think she's very protective, but hope it never comes to that. She's maybe barked twice in her life, but she's lovely, and that's it. She kind of roams around, says hello to everybody. People come and spend time with her. We'll go for walks, and that's kind of her day. Then we go home, and I've got a 9-year-old daughter who, after 2 years, still hasn't worn off. It's like every time she sees her after school, it's like seeing her brand new, and she considers Sadie her sister, and that's lovely. It's a great addition to the family as well. So yeah.
Well, that's fabulous to hear. We do have a question from somebody watching on Facebook, Sarah, who's actually one of our service dog clients. And she's asking, in what way have you witnessed Sadie's impact on the members that they work with? You kind of touched on that a little bit, but tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because people say, how are you going to measure whether it's working or not? It's not like I'm going to strap on a blood pressure cuff on people or take blood samples. So it's something that has to be kind of subjective. But every morning, people are just smiling. People come in, Sadie runs up to them, or sometimes what I do now is before I come into the office, I'll let her off the leash and she'll run into the office and just kind of bounce around. And I think she's just hungry, but she's excited, and people just laugh and smile. And it's just a great start to their day. At the end of the day, we have a bit of a ritual. So, when she wears a vest, she knows there's certain things she can and can't do. And the minute you take off the vest at the end of the day, she'll start rolling around the floor, and people are scratching her belly, and it's kind of become our tradition, and it's kind of a nice way to start the day, a nice way to end the day. And it's just, yeah, I've seen a difference. People on the team have told me they feel a difference. They love having her here, and it wouldn't be the same without her.
Yeah, I think one of the things often folks assume that any dog could do this kind of work, and I think a lot of dogs could do the kinds of things that Sadie does, but what a cool thing that she's excited every single day. That is really, we purpose breed these dogs so that they can show up, 40 hours a week with their human and do the work full time and not kind of burn out on, the emotions and different things they're meeting, but also very cool to see how that energy changes because, yeah, we've heard that even our AFDs that are in schools that the kids are excited to show up to school every day because they know Sadie's going to be working or waiting for them, and to have that shift of you're showing up somewhere where, yeah, there's some really hard work to do, but there's also something that is going to bring those nice happy chemicals into your brain as well every day.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, exactly.
And that's really the purpose of the program in a lot of ways. And I think something that, we talked about, I think it was actually when Zen and Sadie, let's merge those names together. Zen and Sadie were matched with BPD. I think it was Michelle I was talking to about it, is that in so many ways, these placements are actually, for PADS, they feel a little bit like getting ahead of our PTSD program in the sense that, our program is for first responders and veterans that have experienced really traumatic things in their work environment. And so it's very cool for us to think that, this could be us kind of getting to the front side of it. I know that, again, it's not a measurable, tangible thing that we can say, hey, we got in front of this and, prevented someone from, getting to the point where they need one of our service dogs because they're unable to continue doing the very important, but very difficult work that your team does. So that is very cool. Sorry, I'm just noticing a bunch of comments streaming in, so I just want to see if any of them are questions. 1 second. Oh, yeah, Cameron, I'm seeing your comment about needing a higher energy dog. Yes, for sure. So our dogs are all, whether they're service dogs, ASD dogs, etc., they're all matched based on their temperament and their personality and also the needs of the client that is going to be matched to them. So if it was somebody other than Christian at VPD who liked to go trail running and for those 4 or 5 hour hikes, we might have matched a different dog to the environment so that we still have the right match for the work, but also a better match for that level of kind of recreational kind of life, which Sadie obviously would not want that much work.
No,
so
no.
Sorry, that much exercise and activity. So when we're looking at our service dogs as well, we are always looking to make sure we're matching energy level, personality, skills, all those good things to each individual. So yeah, our list is not first come, first serve for sure. It's a little bit of science, a little bit of, I think, just matchmaker magic on the part of the applicant services, client care teams to kind of figure out what that fit is. And as Christian mentioned, there were several dogs that came out and they're, there's 4, whatever it was, 5 that came out and these were the 2 that were kind of chosen. And some of that is just seeing what it looks like in real life too. And if there's a nice click and connection between the dog and the human. So that is incredible. So, so tell me a little bit, you mentioned your daughter and how Sadie has integrated into family life. I think a lot of times people assume these working dogs are working dogs and when they're off the clock, they're in kennels or something like that. Tell me how she's impacted your family's life as well, because I think that's a really important part of a PADS dog.
Yeah, it's part of their day. My wife works from home, but as soon as I take Sadie home, I usually go and pick up my daughter from school or after school care because I get off a bit earlier. And Sadie's usually with me and greets Caitlin, and Caitlin's my daughter, is very excited. And when we get home, Sadie just wants to get in the door. She just wants to go upstairs and say hi to my wife, Claire. And, they'll usually at that time all gather on our family bed and just have like a big snuggle with Sadie. And it's just like a big kind of kiss, and Sadie gives kisses, and she's just happy to be home. And Sadie, the way we have it in our house is she's allowed to kind of nap on our bed. We'll just put a blanket down, but at night she has her own bed and sleeps in her bedroom. But she knows when there's somebody missing, and she knows when everybody's together. Like you get to tell she's at her happiest when all 3 of us are there, and she knows, okay, everybody's safe. We're all here. Now I can relax. It's kind of cool to see. Yeah. That is very cool. And yeah, I think it's neat too for people to understand that these guys aren't always on the clock and they get to just see dogs. And that's such an important part of their wellness, is having that balance as well, that they're not, like us humans working 24/7, and it's not good for anyone. So having that downtime is wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about the work that she's doing with you or her role there? And I know somebody's going to come on and comment at me because I haven't asked yet, is whether or not Sadie would be willing to come up and show her face to the camera for a little cameo or something like that. Do you want to do right now or?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
She's in her post-lunch nap. Let's see, because I've got her wearing a badge today. Hey, Sadie, can you say hi?
Hi, Sadie girl.
Can you see?
Cool. She's like, oh, okay, I'll wake up for a moment.
Got her badge hanging.
Yeah, we can see her, no problem. Hi, honey.
We have a little treat that you say hi to everybody.
Oh, good girl, Sadie.
Release. Good girl.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's it. That's it. You just had your lunch.
She's like, well, I have to nap off my lunch, right? So.
Right. What's been exciting for me is seeing a bunch of other agencies reach out to us when they hear about the program and wanting to launch their own program. So we're seeing across Canada a lot of people being interested in this program. There's more, like I think there's at least one, if not two other applications here at the VPD for more dogs. So, you know, I'm sure PADS is being fair and making sure that we're not taking all of the available dogs. But there's no shortage of people who want dogs and people who are wanting to take care of these great dogs. Yeah, it's amazing. It's you know, and one thing I was to say about Sadie in terms of her off time is one thing that I know is, you know, her favorite thing aside from being with her family is playing with other dogs. So I'll take her as much to dog parks or off leash trails, and she just loves playing with other dogs. And she's like a puppy. She's a bit smaller than a lot of yellow labs, but you know, she just turned 5 in August, and when people see her at the dog park, they're like, they think she's a puppy because she just goes wild and just runs around, and just, you know, it's great to see her be just herself and give her that time. It doesn't last long because she gets tired quickly, but she loves to run and be chased and get other dogs to chase her. So it's great to see. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that actually answers Meredith commented on Facebook asking if she has a favorite toy or treat, but I think you kind of covered off her favorite activity there. Yeah, I mean, they all have their own little unique personalities, but yeah, those romps in forest and with other dogs are very good for the soul. So, and Cameron, yeah, I saw your comment about the wait list. It's hard, but I will say it is well worth the wait. And I think your comment as well, Kristen, about BPD looking potentially for other dogs is, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, a dog that is right for BPD might not be right for somewhere else. And so, you know, our wait list is definitely logged in the order the applications come in. And so when a dog comes up, we start at the top of the list and we work our way down until we find a candidate that we think is the right match. So when I say it's not first come, first serve, that doesn't mean that there isn't priority rankings in there in terms of when applications come in. So, but it is very exciting to see the programs expanding across the country and in other police forces and other organizations as well, and just the different ways that people are using dogs. And I guess that's my last question for you is, I know that we had Delray that works in Alberta with their ambulance service, but and then obviously we have Zen that works with you guys. But is this the first placement, do you know, in a role of this kind in Canada? Like I can't think of others, but
I did a bit of a reach out when I first applied just to get some information. It was hard for me to find dogs that were assigned to an investigative unit specifically, and specifically for the detectives that were working in that unit for the work they did on a daily basis. There might be some out there. I wasn't able to find. I think the majority you see in the employee wellness settings, or victim support like the justice facility dogs like Sydney. But it was, I think Sadie has a bit of a unique role, and I think it's expanding. And we have a major crime section here that's applying for a dog, kind of a similar purpose to, you know, for the members, the detectives more so than victims of crime, which we already have dogs for. So yeah, it's neat to see. It's really neat to see. And one thing I did forget to say, because you touched on how, you know, there's a lot of dogs, and you know, the amount of support we receive from PADS and the volunteers is just amazing. You know, I have in-laws that live in Florida, so sometimes my handlers, secondary handlers, can't help out taking care of Sadie, and you know, the volunteers are great at taking care of her when I need to take a break. And I got to meet her puppy raisers because they were part of they're still kind of doing some babysitting, which is awesome. And I learned a funny thing, because every time you sing happy birthday in my house, Sadie goes crazy. Like, she thinks it's her birthday, and I was like you just say happy birthday. Well, maybe not. And she goes crazy. And I found out that her puppy raisers, somebody in the house used to practice playing ukulele, and they were practicing the happy birthday song. So
oh, that's amazing.
So it's pretty cute. You sing happy birthday, she just is very excited. So, but yeah, I would say a big thank you to the volunteers, because it's a ton of work, and there's not a lot of thank yous, or not enough thank yous to go around. So a big thank you from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we had t-shirts printed a few years ago that say, inside every PADS dog beats the heart of a volunteer. And I would hazard to say it's the hearts of many volunteers. You know, these dogs really truly are raised by a village of people, volunteers and donors and staff, and all these people that invest in them and to send them off. And so thank you, because I think that's particularly meaningful for those that are watching today that had a part in Sadie's life before she came to work with you, and it's just, but I think even for people that weren't involved directly with Sadie, for our volunteers, I mean, I have raised myself as well, and I'm also a PADS client, and so I kind of have both sides of it, is also understanding that conversations like this, even if I didn't have a dog in, or a hand in that actual dog, I raised a bunch that didn't make the program, and those dogs have to be raised too, to find these little gems that are going to be successful and wonderful. And so it's that little paycheck for everybody when we see such a successful,
big commitment,
impactful placement.
Big commitment, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to give one last shout out to everybody that if you have any last minute burning questions, now is your opportunity, but we're going to wrap up in a minute or two here. So if there's anything else, pop that into the comment section or the Q&A box and we'll answer it. But if not, I'm going to take this opportunity just to say thank you, Christian, for joining us, and Sadie as well. Sorry to interrupt your post-lunch nap. But she's like, well, life is good. So anyway, but with that, I will let you go. And thanks again for joining us. And thank you, everybody that tuned in today.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, Kristen. Bye now.
Bye.